All right, and welcome back to Weekend with Betty. Thank you so much for staying with us. And if you're joining us, karibu sana. Just feel at home, because you've seen we have food and we have everything you need. So just feel at home, even if you're at home. So, of course, tonight, like I mentioned, we have a special edition of Valentine's, and we decided to have a love affair on Upclose. I'm sure most of you have received flowers and chocolates, and if not, don't worry. Listen, self-love is the most important. Tonight, I'm hosting Cynthia and Don Otieno, a couple who found love abroad and have been together for the last 10 years, and they're sharing their love story tonight, and you will definitely love it. Let me also say that Cynthia, Pastor Cynthia, yeah, and she's Pastor Cynthia, and he's also Don, who's a relationship expert, a life coach too, and what else?
Marriage, relationship, life.
You
coach.
must be, you're in good hands to have a guy like him. You know, he's good at, relationships, life. So every time you have a problem, you just go and tap on his shoulder, right?
Yeah, like, can we fix this?
Right. So your story is so beautiful, and I was watching your interview on YouTube, and I even just saw the reactions, the feedback, and everybody was saying that they've been so inspired by your love story because you've gone through a lot. Don, let me start with the gentleman. So
Yes,
Don, yeah.
yes.
So Don, talk to us about just briefly how you guys met. You guys met abroad, and it wasn't a walk in the park. Tell us about it.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I like her version of it because she gets all the details and stuff. I'll give my version of it. I call it an unusual kind of a meeting because we met. We only had one date.
One date in terms of?
Yeah.
Since
one and only date.
One date where we actually had one date, and then after that, that's when I proposed and we got married.
After one date? You lucky girl.
You need to know the background.
That's like from the beginning to the end.
Okay.
Yeah, but in between there's a lot of drama that takes place. There's a lot of testings and trials that takes place.
Right.
Yeah.
And I remember, Cynthia, Pastor, you said that at some point, the first time you saw him,
Yes.
that you guys were in fellowship.
Yes,
Was it abroad?
a conference,
A
yes.
conference, yeah?
Yes.
And there was a prayer that was going on. And then you just opened your eyes, and amidst the prayer, and you saw this guy, and you're like, hey, he can sing well, or something like that. Please tell us about that.
It's getting hot.
You're even getting hot in here.
Yeah. What happened,
Yeah.
it was so interesting. I was in this particular conference, and Dawn was leading worship. So we had gone, a group of girls with a couple of people. It's a Kenyan conference, so it's in the United States. But this guy takes on the mic and like bellows out a really amazing chorus. And I check him out. I open my eyes and I'm like, not bad.
Yeah.
Not
bad.
Not bad.
That's
I
so
like
honest.
it. I really like what I'm seeing. And right after that, I made a decision. I'm going to go say hi to him.
Seriously? You're
Yes,
one of those
Betty.
girls?
I'm one of those girls. So I didn't think much about it. After the praise and worship, you know how everybody goes to the break room?
Yes.
And there were hundreds of people.
Right.
So I go into this break room and I walk up to him and I say, hi, my name is Cynthia.
Wow, I like that. Please, this 2020, I need that kind of confidence.
And he turns and looks at me and he says, I'm Dawn. And so I'm expecting more.
Yeah.
And then he turns right back
No way.
to who he was talking to.
That is so
And
rough.
I'm like, it was raw and it was rough. And I thought, how rude.
How rude.
And I just was so,
Yeah.
I was like, psh.
It's
And-
okay.
Yeah, it's okay. It's not like it's going out of fashion. And so,
So why did you turn away?
Yeah, tell
I'm
us.
curious.
It was just, yes, you said hi, I say hi back, and I continue with what I was doing. I wasn't like, I keep telling her I was focused. I came there to do worship. And
No
then,
way. You were that focused.
Yes,
Even this beautiful girl who just brought herself there.
Yes. You can imagine before that, actually, for coming to that particular conference, she was the one in charge of those arranging for any guest that is coming. So we had been talking on phone also.
No, that was 2006. 2008 is when I was in charge.
Ah, okay.
So
that was before.
Women
we know everything. I'm like, do it.
So, okay. So now you went back to what you were doing.
Yes.
But, and okay, so what happens after that?
So after that, we get into the car and we're driving back to the hotel. So we're in a different state.
Yes.
And as we're driving back, this girl sitting next to me says, did you see that guy called Donald Otieno? And I said, yes, I did. And she says, that's going to be your husband. I'm like, get out of town.
Right.
And she says, that's going to be your husband. And I'm thinking, okay. And so the pastor who was driving us hears us talking and he says, who are you talking about?
Right.
And we say, Donald Otieno. And he says, do you want to find out if he's single? I said, yeah. And all the girls said, yeah.
Yeah.
So he says, okay, I'll tell you in the evening. I'll go find out. And so he came back later on and he said, Musi Thubutu. That man is so engaged to be married.
What?
He's dating and engaged to be married at the end of this year.
What? What a blow.
Chineke.
Did you cry? Did you feel crestfallen?
I think
Me, if it was me, oh girl, I would.
So for me, since, I mean, how many times have you seen a good-looking man and, okay, he's good-looking, you acknowledge it verbally,
Yes.
but I moved on. Oh, he's getting married.
Oh,
Good,
okay.
nice guy.
Okay.
Praise God for who he's
Wow.
met, and I moved on with my life and dated even somebody else.
So if he was getting married at that time, what are you guys doing here tonight? What happened?
That's the question.
What happened? If he was did you end up getting married?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
And it wasn't because of me, eh? It wasn't
Okay.
because of me.
So what happens at that particular relationship? Remember now, this was about post-election violence, just towards the right after, right? Yeah. So there's a lot of the Kikuyu Luo thing.
Oh,
The
really?
girl was Kikuyu, and we had this pull back from her parents. You know, is this thing really going to work?
Yes.
You know, and all this. So it became difficult. So it got to a point where she grew cold feet, and you know, so we decided, okay, this thing is not going to work.
So, okay.
Yeah. So
That's so sad. So it didn't happen because of the cultural or tribal
differences.
Tribal differences.
So at that
please,
point,
we can have our starter and our mocktails as we continue the conversation. There's more food waiting for us.
okay.
So that's 2 years. I didn't know all this had happened to the man.
Right.
So 2 years later, he's invited by my pastor over to Ohio to come and lead worship again.
Again. You guys were just meant to be.
You know? So he comes, and at that time, I'm already an ordained minister. Before, when we first met, I wasn't a minister, so I'm the one arranging this particular conference. And we did get to talk at that point.
Okay.
And I did get to notice he didn't have a ring. And I was like, okay.
What happened?
What happened, you know? And so we began a conversation, and we began to text and talk and text and talk. And shortly after that, a couple of months later, he was invited again because he lived like 9 hours away from me.
Right.
So he called me, and he was coming back for another meeting, and he asked me out on a date.
Right.
That was the first and only date we ever had.
How is that possible? Uku sisi tunangangana, you know, you go on this one, then you try again, you try again. How was it that you just went on one date?
Now what?
Was she that special, man?
No. What happened was, now after this conference, I think that was the time.
Pastor, please eat. Please
Okay.
eat.
Okay.
We decided, okay, we'll actually go on a date. Can we go on a date after the conference? So we actually did. And one of the weird things happened during that planning of the date, because I remember we got into a store, a supermarket kind of a place, and she decided to buy some stuff. So while we're at the checkout counter, this old lady looks at her and says, I want you to remember this, that he's your pride, and you're his joy. Some random person who we didn't know. So, okay, I usually say that's one of the signs that things were going a certain
the
direction,
right direction.
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was the only date.
Okay.
And
after that, you proposed?
no.
Okay.
Let me tell you something, Betty. Let me tell you something about this date.
Yes, yes.
My sister was visiting, and I know you have sisters, and you're very close. My sister and I are very close.
Yeah, yeah.
So my sister was visiting with her kids and her nanny. Her nanny was like 17.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's Shosho. We used to call her Shosho, and she's amazing. So they're visiting, and she says, "Oh, there's a guy here who's taking you out. I want to chaperone." I'm like, I'm over 34. You want to chaperone? Why?
Yeah, yeah.
She says, no, there's no way I'm going to allow you to go with a man. And I'm thinking, Shiro, I've been here for 13 years, for goodness sake.
Yes, yes.
She says, no, I'm actually the one buying the dinner. So I haven't told Dawn that the date that we're supposed to go on exclusively, my sister is actually going to be part and parcel of that
like
date.
that.
Plus
To
two
make
children,
sure.
plus the nanny. So what happened? We went to
Full
this
house.
nice Italian restaurant.
Were you ready for, are you ready then? Were the
No.
pockets ready?
I was expecting the two of us.
Yeah. So my sister shows up, rocks right in with the two kids and the nanny. The nanny only speaks Kikuyu. And in my head, I said, if this man, for goodness sake, if he's going to be switched off because of this, my family dynamics,
yes.
this is going to be confirmation for me.
Yeah.
Whether he likes, you
Where
know,
he's
because that's
comfortable
how
or
we
not.
are.
Right.
And do you know what happened? Is that he had so much fun with the kids, and he's a quieter guy. So he had so much fun with the kids. Shosho was talking in Kikuyu half of the time.
Right.
And as you notice, I'm Wamboi, he's Otieno.
Yes, yes.
So he doesn't understand what we were talking about.
Yeah.
But that for me was a keeper.
Was a keeper.
It
I
was
like
a sure
that.
sign
I
that,
like
you know
that.
what, even when things are thick
Right.
and it didn't go as we had planned,
Right.
he rocked with the whole story.
All right.
So that was such a keeper.
That's great. Congrats for being such a keeper. So I want us to take the conversation forward. And obviously, I don't know if that tribal issue still maybe came again, maybe very briefly before we proceed, Don. Did it come again the first time it came out? You know, that's the tribal lines being so open there. With you guys, did you experience
Oh,
that?
no. With us, I think the only thing was I remember one of my bros asked, okay, well, what's the rush? Are you guys getting married? What's the rush? You
Right,
know,
right.
is there anything?
Right.
You know, it's just right after election violence. Can you give it time? And I thought, okay, no. We're at a point where we've decided we're doing this.
You're going in.
We are going in. Other than that, I don't think we faced any issues
All
with
right.
that.
So now, Pastor, you two, there's something I read on the internet. You're building, is it the world one relationship at a time? So talk to us about your organization, because I know we're running out of time. But very quickly, if you can talk about that and what exactly you do. And one question that is always being asked, and even on my social media feed. Do marriages work? You guys have been there together for 10 years. 10 years. Some have tried, some of us have tried, kidogo shida, but we are still here. But do they work, especially in this day and age? If we can get the conversation going.
I think it's important to get it out there that marriages do work, but it takes work. I'm not going to tell you it's a bed of roses. We've had our fair share of real life. I call it real life.
Right.
There are life issues that you two have got to tackle, and we've had to tackle. And the most important thing that people have got to realize, and what we had to realize very early in the very beginning, especially because here are two people meeting and they're so different.
Right.
We're different in terms of tribe, different in terms of where families we come from. So those are huge dynamics. People have got to actually celebrate the dynamic.
Yes.
And actually take those differences and acknowledge them. And there's nothing wrong with being different. You know, the thing that happens is that we look at different and we think it's wrong. Different is hard. But you can actually take the differences. That's what we did. Betty, we wrote down on a piece of paper all our differences, from how Kikuyu's name, how Luo's name. What do they like to eat? Let me tell you, Betty, I had never eaten a fish that has eyes. Let me tell
Isn't
you.
it a boat from now or something?
No.
the
The
actual-
real fish.
The
You know
real
the one
fish?
that... No,
Okay.
chick. I'm from Kiambu.
We don't tilapia.
My mother had told me, if you eat fish that has bones, you'll die. You will choke and die.
So here you are now, you're married
so those are some of the differences. So you've got to acknowledge that and decide, is this what going to break you up or put you together? And then on one side of the paper, we wrote down all the things that were our points of convergence.
Right.
So we actually still acknowledge that those things are really hard.
Yes.
They're not away from our eyes, but there's also the fact that what is the things that bring us together every day for the rest of our lives.
Okay.
That's what we call intentional marriage.
Intentional marriage. I like that. Don, let me ask you, in this day and age, of course, there are very many young people, as per the comments I see every time I see your articles, your videos, that, guys are asking, like, how then are you helping the, young people, get to 10 years of marriage in this day and age where there's a lot of negativity towards marriage, or it doesn't work, or, small things, happening and people just decide this is not meant for me. So how are you doing that in your own capacity as this couple?
Well, we're trying to get as many couples while still at the stage of relationships. Not when preparing to get married. Not the last
those
2
lectures.
months,
Sasa Betty,
I think that's a bit too late.
It's too late.
Yes.
So we start when the relationship.
We try and push. Hey, you're meeting so and so. Why don't you guys come? We talk. Get to talk way in advance before you've even decided we are getting married. Because I think some of the lessons we have is just to get to know this other person first. Get to know the person, and then you continue with the relationship.
Oh, the food is here now.
Wow.
Yes. That looks delicious.
Yes.
So we are trying to grab even the younger people. I try and engage the men also separately, the younger boys and the men as they go forward. So this kind of helps, not waiting until the last minute to
actually now start dealing with the issues.
Yes.
Pastor, what are some of the issues which you can say are some of the biggest issues you've seen or you've experienced, or young people are coming and telling you about when it comes to relationships and marriage, especially with relation to this day and age, this age of social media, this age of people being very expressive,
Yes.
Yeah. I think what happens is, what is the reality versus what is in the social media?
Yes.
We currently are in a very showbiz kind of environment where what is being posted and what is a reality is quite groundly different. And so seeing authenticity and authentic relationships being propagated is actually not, we actually have to look at, there must be something wrong. There must be something that is not working in this. There's no way. So what we need to do, or what I am seeing, is a lack of authenticity and lack of clear communication. You see, something that is very interesting is that look at the young people today, and young people are the millennials. We're constantly on the phone.
That's
so
true.
Communication is not what happens between a man and a woman looking at each other. And there's so much I can see from your body language when I talk to you. I can see when you're happy, when you take pleasure in something. But now if I'm on my phone,
the whole time,
an emoji is not going to tell me how you really feel.
That's true.
An emoji is not going to give me the pulsating of your, when you're nervous, and that we lose that in communication. So what happens we start at that point where we are texting each other, we get married, and we are expected to have a real conversation. So what we are seeing as we are coaching couples, because we have what we call love clinics, where we meet with couples every day and actually do intentional marriage, coaching them. And you find that a lot of the relationships are on the phone, but have never been able to develop into an actual conversation that is a real grounded one.
Wow, that is completely profound. Don, coming to you. In this day and age, is it possible for us to see marriages like yours? And today was Valentine's Day.
Right.
And many young people have, it's all about the flowers, it's all about the good things, like she's saying.
Right.
The chocolates, you didn't get me any chocolates, or I'm single, and all these things. As a day like today when people are thinking about their loved ones, what is your advice, as you do your partnership? What is your advice to couples who are trying to be like you guys, trying to get married, trying to even to have a blossoming, dating relationship.
Right. I think the main thing is don't wait for Valentine's Day.
First of all,
You know,
I hope somebody is listening out there.
you know, one thing we usually push a lot with our couples is date night.
Yes.
Have one day of the week where you both just go out and have fun.
Yes.
Date each other. So that way, if it's a consistent thing, the Valentine's Day will come and go like it's the usual.
It's the usual.
You know, it won't have to be, because there's a lot of pressure out there. I've seen young girls and boys that are now actually even looking for what to do.
Yeah.
You know, looking for. There's a lot of desperation, which is not necessary. You know, and I think this whole men's conference thing is also coming out of pressure. I know we laugh about it and we're joking about it, but the guy is actually feeling like, you can see Betty is getting a whole bouquet of flowers being brought in the office before everyone. So, you know, this
pressure.
You know,
it's pressure,
I think it's not worth it. Just be yourself, enjoy. If you have someone in your life, make it a daily thing or a weekly thing.
A weekly thing.
Not a once
in a
February.
year.
In a year.
Pastor, because we have to wrap up, how can people, you know, get in touch with you? You said you have like the love clinics.
Yes.
Yeah. How do I come on? Is it Monday? I don't know. People who feel like, you know, they really want to get the sort of help you've talked about.
Yes. There are two ways. Actually, there are many ways they can get from Facebook. They can Facebook us. We are we get in touch with our couples. So it's Cynthia Otieno, Donald Otieno, or you can call us. I think we can post our contacts.
Yeah, I think the social media is easier.
Social media is so much easier. The Cynthia Life, Love, Relationship Coach, also a page. Okay. So please do not be stuck when you can get to have help, but also, you know, sometimes it's not that you even need the help, you need to get to the next level, because it's not always that you need counseling. Sometimes you feel you're stuck and you need to go to the next level, the part where you are on the next level. So that's it. There's something I wanted to give you.
Okay, all right. Oh, yeah, gifts. Yes.
Our book.
Oh, that's nice.
Yes. We wrote our story. You know the story that you are talking about? Yes.
This is When Love Dares.
When Love Dares.
When Love Dares. Let's have a... Okay, there you go. Yeah. When Love Dares. When Love Dares. And it says, Breaking Barriers in Pursuit of Love. And of course, by Donald Otieno and Cynthia Otieno. There it is. Thank you so much. In this picture, you guys looked young. So thank you so much, guys. If, I'm going to read it.
Yes.
I'm going to maybe share, of course, snippets of it on my social media.
It's our story.
It's your story.
Yes.
And it's going to encourage... I hope it's going to encourage us.
Yes.
To want to have your kind of thing going on.
Yes, and even better.
And even,
it can even be better than
or even
ours.
Better, yeah. Thank you so much, guys, for coming. It has been such a complete pleasure having you on the show. Now, this segment, normally we go to people's houses and, you know, we eat. So maybe we'll look for you and actually come home to have a bigger conversation.
Please.
That would be awesome.
Thank you so much. I've been speaking to Pastor Cynthia Otieno and her husband, Donald Otieno, who's a relationship coach, life coach.
Yes.
And did I forget any other?
Yeah, just relationship, love, life, relationship.
All right. Thank you so much for coming and spending your Valentine's evening with us. So we'll continue to have our dinner and our beverages there. And sports news is coming up. So don't go away. The show continues here on The Weekend with Bessie. All right?